You got to be trustworthy, you got to be not a snitch, you got to be tough.
Growing up on the streets of Bakersfield, California, Louie LaMonaco didn't care what he had to do to get accepted.
You got to be willing to do some things that, you know, maybe the other guy isn't willing to do, and that's part of climbing up the ladder. That's the part of the hustle, and when you show that, you start getting favor and trust.
His father left when he was 1, and by the time he was in high school, several stepfathers had made their way in and out of his life. None of them showed any affection to a boy desperately needing a dad.
It was the male figure coming into my life and then leaving. And so at one point as a kid, you say to yourself, I'm gonna put up a wall, like this isn't gonna just keep happening.
That day came on Christmas when he was 15 years old.
And my third stepfather, which has been in the house the longest at this point, came and gave my sister a Christmas present at my aunt's house and didn't give me anything and didn't acknowledge me at all after we'd been together 9 years. And so that was the day I said, you know, it doesn't even matter what happens to me anymore.
So Louie dropped out of high school and started hustling, stealing, and dealing drugs for money. By his early 20s, he had a lengthy criminal record that included robbery, assault, and dealing drugs. He also had money, street credibility, and the respect of gang members. But he says something was missing.
You have money, you have nice cars, and you got homies, and as you put on this front of, you might be tough, and you might be this, and you might have it all in control, but inside, you're empty.
Trying to fill the void, Louie found a way to make more money running guns across state lines in exchange for drugs. But with each deal, he thought more and more about the cost he would ultimately pay.
So I had to sit back and go, okay, now this could go bad. How am I gonna make sure that I'm not gonna get killed today? There's no winning on either decision. Today you may be killed, or you may have to kill somebody else. It's horrible. You know your mind is so gone on the streets to make that this even makes sense to somebody. You know that you need a change, and a big change, and that your life is lost, man. You know this is a proof that there's an empty person inside there.
At age 29, Louie was arrested, and a plea bargain got him 3 years. While serving time, he thought about the direction he'd taken in life.
I achieved everything I was looking for. I got scars all over me. I got eternal scars. I've got the battle scars. I've got the friends that are dead and murdered and doing life. I achieved it all. But you just realize when you achieve it that it's not really what you were looking for.
In the solitude of his prison cell, Louie says he heard something.
I heard a voice say, go to church with your great-grandmother. And that's all it would say. Over and over, you know, throughout the day or throughout the week. So one day I did to shut it up. I just, you know, okay, I'll go. And never asked me again.
After serving his time, Louie kept his word.
I was in a halfway house on Union Avenue, Bakersfield, California. And my grandma invited me to church. The atmosphere was heavy, and it was love. I remember it coming down almost like a cloud. It just set over me, and that voice spoke to me and said, I've tamed a lot tougher than you. And so I went down and gave my heart, Lord Jesus Christ. I felt like I had freedom. I felt like I was forgiven.
Louie started building a life centered around Christ, and over the years became the man, husband, and father he always hoped he'd be.
You start to blossom into a person that God always intended you to be. And the weirdest thing is you never realized that you could be that way.
With a daughter now in college, Louie and his wife Sarah are raising their son. He makes sure both his children understand they are loved.
I always go in and tell them I love them, and I'm proud of them. Both my kids have said that, you know, not question me, but like, how come you do this? I said, because I never had it when I was a kid. And I want to make sure you know the love of Jesus Christ.
He shares his story with youth and men with similar pasts. People who knew Louie before say the change is real. Dennis Stirk is a former detective responsible for his arrest. Today, he calls Louie a friend.
If you'd known him before and you know him now, there's a big change. Louie's not all talk. It was a change.
My life now is complete in so many ways because of the love of God. The day I found Christ at the altar and the freedom he gave me, if that's all he ever gave me and I had that only, I'm okay with it. That was what I was looking for in the first place.